Welcome back. In this video, we're going to be going over subscription service plans, how to configure them, and we're going to, quickly go over the differences between internal and external plans. All right. So we're going to focus on two services today: the support auth service and the demo app dev service. So one of them is internal and the other one is external. And we're just going to go over the plans. So for the most part, in this video, we're going to touch on web application subscription services. In the next one, we're going to go over API subscription services, all right, and how those plans are configured. So for this one, we're going to focus on web applications. So now, internal and external services. One very just key detail about internal services is that they cannot be monetized, right? Those are internal services. However, external services can be monetized. So if we take a quick dive into the internal service and look at a plan, we could just notice really quickly that we cannot monetize the internal service plans. They're always free. So everything else is the same with the external service configuration for web applications, but that's just the one key difference is that for internal services, they cannot be monetized because they're internal tools, right? So that's pretty much that. So let me close this out and we can just focus on the external service here called support auth. So this service is a production environment service. It's external. It's a gateway to an application called Support Me. So, one thing that we're going to touch really quickly before we dive into the plans is that only production environment applications can be configured for monetization. All right. So ideally in a testing scenario, we just don't have a way to monetize. But when you configure payments in production, then it actually gets monetized. All right, that's just one caveat. So because of payments are available in production, we're gonna configure plans in this production service. All right, so to create a new plan, what I'm going to do here, just click on Add Plan. So we're just going to take it from the top. All right, so every plan should have a name. If I call this base, all right, so this is our base plan. I can give it a quick description. This is the base plan. So the user never really sees this. So you have the option to have free or paid. So obviously with the paid, there's going to be payment configuration. But, besides that, everything stays the same. So because of, the payment adds some extra configuration, we're going to switch this to paid. All right. So now you can see, the price terms and, price term counts display themselves. All right. So now the billing type, we have the option for per user billing or per group. So per user billing is just simply means that each user that signed up for this application to this plan, right, is going to pay whatever pricing is configured, whereas the per group billing type means that an account is going to be billed as one. All right. So here we have the price term because this is a recurring service and this is a paid plan. So here we're going to just, we have options to pick like, daily payments, weekly payments, monthly payments, yearly payments. So you can basically configure this. Right now, the price term is month and the price term counts as one. So this just means that this is going to be billed once a month. So we do have two plan types, recurring and one time. So one time is a lifetime plan. So whenever someone signs up to this, they get a lifetime subscription. They pay one time and that's it. Whereas recurring, as it sounds, is a recurring type subscription. All right, so here we have, the price rates per currency. So one very cool thing about monetized services is that you can monetize in multiple currencies. So here I have a plan that is recurring. I could set the monthly payment to be $30 per month. But I could also say, okay, let's, change and let's have it. Let's say, let's look for some British pounds. If we can find it, British pound, and let's say we call this 27 pounds. All right. So now we have, two currencies. I could easily switch my primary currency, but the default primary currency is dollars, and you can switch it out to, one of the other currency options. And this just means that when a user goes to sign up for this subscription service, the default would be the pounds if this is indeed the default. But in this case, the default will be the dollars. And the user can switch, right, to a different currency. So here, if you wanted to set up a one-time fee, you can do that as well. And this could be any amount that you choose. In this case, $1,000. And also, just because we have it in pounds, we could get we could use the British pound again if I can find it. Okay, there we go. And let's say 980. I don't know what the exchange rate is, by the way. I'm just guessing. All right, so the same thing, right? So we have the monthly billing based on the fact that the price term is a month. We have the in multi-currency, and we also have here our one-time setup fee. And now one thing to note is that if you do not set a setup fee for a different currency, and let's say you only have a setup fee in dollars, and you have the monthly plan in multiple currencies, and let's say the user picks British pound and there is no matching transaction, there's no matching setup fee in British pound, then the user does not pay a setup fee. So you need to make sure that all your currencies are matching. If you use a currency up top and you indeed want to collect a setup fee, you need to have the corresponding currency below. All right, so here we have an option to prevent license transfers. So what are license transfers? This is simply when one person transfers a license to another person, right? So you might have a service where, every new sign up is a payment. So let's say, if I had an account and I wanted to sign up another person, then that person will have to pay an initial whatever the price is for that service. They'll pay that when they sign up. But a way to prevent that would be to just transfer licenses. So meaning that if let's say I wanted to cancel, or maybe I wanted to like leave a plan and I wanted to just transfer to another person, then they wouldn't have to pay because I've already paid for the month. So, but this is one of those things that it's an option. You can turn this off to prevent license transfers. Everyone has to sign up and pay, immediately. And here we have the option to allow team sign up. So by default, only one person can subscribe for an account to a plan. If you want team signups, you can basically just toggle this on. And if you want to indeed have a team size limit, you can turn this on as well. And this kind of comes back to the whole concept of per group billion, right? So if you wanted to, let's say, group it as, call it a price per like 30 people or like a price per, 20 people, right? You would come in here and configure the team size and have that, billion, you could have different plans for different size groups. So that's, one fun configuration that you can take advantage of when you're doing your subscription services. Here we have another option, another configuration here called contract terms. So what does this mean? So if you wanted to like enforce a contract, so let's say you wanted someone to say, all right, you have to sign up for 1 year or 3 years or whatever the case may be. You can basically configure that here. And this is just going to prevent a person from terminating their account. Now, it doesn't mean that the account cannot be terminated. You can indeed terminate it yourself, from your self-serve portal. but it prevents the user from being able to terminate their accounts because they have a contract. So if they wanted to break that contract, then they would have to contact you and say, hey, we would like to get uh, out of this plan. We would like to cancel our accounts, and so on and so forth. Of course, there are ways to get around it. They could change the payment method, so the payment method doesn't really work, and then it would just cancel. Or they could just stop paying, and then you have to deal with that outside of the system. But it's just a cool way of letting the user know that they are signing up for a prolonged contract term, and just like we have in our price term, you can also configure the contract date unit. So I can say, well, this is going to be a 3-year contract, and that's that. So let's just go ahead and add this plan. So I've added my base plan. I'm going to save this plan, and I am going to deploy. All right. So now let's go sign up to the base plan. So to sign up a user to a plan, they have to go to the sign up URL, which is basically the path and then the plan name. So we're just gonna go ahead and copy the prefix or the URL rather and complete it. Okay. It's called base and not basic. There we go. As you can see, we have the multi-currency. If we can switch between currencies, and if you notice, the setup fee changes based on that. We can go ahead and add our users. It's a simple form here. I could say Jane Doe at inhouse.io, give it a password, add this user, go on to the next step, put a random billing address here, proceed to checkout. All right. So, we're not going to complete this transaction because it's going to actually demand that we pay $1,030, and this is a demo. All right. We're not going to go crazy here. All right. So that's pretty much how to configure a plan. And as you can see, this plan was configured. And now, one thing we did not see here is that we did not see the finalization, right? We did not see the payments components, and this is because if I'm to guess, our service has not been configured properly. There we go. So we need to set up to collect to monetize this service. We need to connect it to a payout account. We have one over here. I'm going to just pick the different payment methods that I want. I want a bank account. I want a card. Don't want to collect tax. We're going to go over, these payment configurations in future videos, but for now, we're just going to set this two up. I'm going to save this. I am going to redeploy, go back over here, and then refresh the page. And I'm just going to try to do the same thing over again. Jane Doe at inhouse.io, give it a password, add, get a random billing address, proceed to checkout. And now we see our payment widgets with the card and US bank accounts. And because we're using a Google Chrome browser, Google thought, they could sneak in a payment widget in here as well. So, this is an actual sign up page in the production environments, and this will actually charge me $1,030 if I proceed to fill it up with a card and click on checkout. But let's just take a look at a few things here. We can see our 3-year contract. We can see the $1,000 setup fee. We can see that it's a $30 per user per month configure, recurring payment. We are signing one person up at this moment, and it makes it very clear that that this is a 3-year subscription contract. We don't have a terms of use. If not, we would have had a terms of use here as well. If we wanted to, let's say, demand some certain acknowledgments, we could configure that as well. But we're not doing that here. So this is pretty much how to configure a plan. And in this case, we've configured a paid plan and gone through all the cool and powerful configurations. All right, that's it for this video. In the next video, we're going to go over configuring plans for APIs, and that's going to be a fun one as well. All right, see you in the next one.